You're listening to Evolving Moons Podcast with Jess and Katie.
Hey everybody,
Hello, welcome to Evolving Moons.
Jess and Katie here. Did you know, I just looked this morning, this is our 20th episode.
Is it?
Yeah, this episode is number 20.
It's been 5 episodes since the 15th episode?
Yeah,
Wow,
I know.
that's fun.
Go us.
Wow, this is going, man. Time is flying by.
It really
We
is.
started this, what, in April?
Yeah, I think so.
And now it's August?
Yeah.
End of August?
We do. April or May? I don't know. We
Or
started
technically it's September, huh? For this episode.
Yeah, when this episode airs, it will be September, but
Okay.
it's currently August.
Okay. All right, sick.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
nice.
today we have a cool subject matter. I feel
Yes.
like we are both at this time in our lives when, we're both 25. We're both like young adults, like real adults. And I feel like,
Ish.
at least for me, for the first time, I finally like am feeling my age. Like I'm like, all right, what did I expect my life to look like when I was 25? Is this it? If it's not, why not? Like what do I need to be doing going forward? And something that I've been focusing on a lot for myself recently is how to create this life that I want to live, like a life worth living for me, a life of happiness, a life that I love. And so that's kind of what we want to talk about today is just if you're feeling how we're feeling, I would assume most of our audience is similar age ranges of us. So, if you're feeling that way, or just even if you are not feeling that way and just want a better life for yourself, we're going to talk about some things that I've compiled from a bunch of different sources and blogs of how to make a life that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How to live your best life.
How to live your best life.
Earlier I did a reading and I asked how can we live our best lives? And I used the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. Rebecca Thoughts on Instagram.
That's my favorite box.
It's this deck is just so beautiful. These are like the back of all the cards. I
They're
don't know
really
if you
pretty.
can see. But I pulled this card and the card says align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? And I'm pretty sure we pulled this card before on like one of our very first episodes, like super early on. And it has a girl with the
I
shattered
think we pulled it on one of the balance series.
balance
Yeah.
series. Okay, yeah, I remember pulling it, but I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly which one. But basically, this card talks about how we're constantly going through periods of change and growth, and when you reject that cycle, like our I forget how they word it, but we're like cyclic beings is what it
Yeah.
says. And when you reject that, that's when you can feel stuck, when you feel unhappy. And so when I asked the question, how can we live our best lives? And I pulled that card, to me, it means, step one is to let go of things in the past and like truly embrace who you are and who you're going to be.
Yeah, I love that because I have been feeling that transition,
Mhm.
like I feel like this card talks about, you said like it's like letting go of your past self and allowing
Mhm.
your like next future self to step in.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the period of life that we're all kind of in right now.
Yeah. And it's not only like letting go of um your past self, but also letting go of all things that no longer serve you.
Yeah.
Outside forces as well.
Yeah.
So it's a good card, I think.
Yeah, we love that. So, like I said, I've been researching this a lot, and so I have like a compiled list of tips, I guess. And then I took some notes on the tips of like what I thought that the author was saying by it or how I interpreted it. And so then we'll just read these and then we'll kind of discuss them. And yeah, hopefully you're thinking about them as we're reading them. So, the first one, I titled it Build a Life You Love. That's what I titled my little
That's nice.
thing. Yeah. So the first tip that I liked is take responsibility of your actions. And so to me, this meant like everything that happens to you, you play a role in it, whether or not you were like fully responsible for something that happens to you. Every single thing that happens to you, you play a part in, whether it's a literal action or like an emotion that you're feeling or whatever. And you're in control of your own self. So, it's like if something happens to you that you don't necessarily like, think of ways that you can change it rather than like, oh my gosh, this thing's just happening to me and I have no control over it. It's like you do.
Mhm.
So, when negative things happen to us in life, we can absolutely like take hold and be like, okay, this happened to me. However, I could have done this differently. In my future, I'm not going to do this. Or, like, okay, this negative thing happened to me. I'm feeling like this right now, but I'm not going to let myself dwell on that negative feeling. I'm going to do this instead.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I took that one, was just like,
Yeah.
that's a good way to,
That's such a good one. I mean, just
yeah,
own I like the idea of owning your shit.
yeah.
It's my
And
fave.
also, like, when you realize your part in things, whether it's good or bad, you can learn from it. So like if something bad happens to you or something that you don't like is happening to you and you realize like, oh, maybe I did this to kind of inflict this upon myself, you're less likely to do it again moving forward if you can have that moment of realization and like taking ownership.
Yeah, and that's I think that's a big step when it comes to personal growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one like kind of like personal growth in here too.
Well, I mean, that's a
Maybe,
first
but
step,
yes.
like a first step to that.
So then my next one we've talked about, I think in a recent episode we talked about this, but practicing forgiveness. So forgiveness for yourself, also for others. So for others, when you're angry or like you're holding grudges or you have like resentment, that takes energy. And you want to put most of your energy into things that are positive and things that are making you happy and fill you with energy. So like negative feelings take away from your energy. So
Hmm.
forgiveness, whether or not you like want to continue a relationship with somebody, being able to have that forgiveness and that like closure moment for yourself lets you regain that energy, and it lets you
Hmm.
let go of that situation as well. If you're always stuck on it, holding a grudge, holding negative emotions,
Hmm.
you're not fully letting go of that
Yeah, and
instance.
forgiveness doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm forgiving this person and our relationship is going to continue.
Yeah,
It can
forgiveness
it can
is
be a
not
way where
acceptance. It's like,
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it could be you're acknowledging that something has happened
hmm,
and if forgiveness is more like in your heart and it basically
yeah,
it's like you're ready to move on.
yeah, it's
It doesn't
totally for
mean that
yourself. It's not
yeah, it doesn't mean like, oh, we're gonna whatever the negative thing is,
right.
like
And then that also goes for forgiving yourself. Like you cannot move forward in life if you're always focused on things that you wish you would have done better or wish you wouldn't have done, or you're like holding all this on yourself of your past. You cannot move forward and grow if you're always holding on to things that you've done too. So, like, you need to be able to forgive yourself for your wrongdoings or for things that you feel like are your flaws
mhm.
and kind of just like work to be better rather than focusing on what you didn't do right. So then I put, it kind of goes along with it. I put it right next to forgiveness because, like we said, forgiveness doesn't mean that you're okay with the action that somebody took if you're forgiving
Mhm.
somebody else. So my next one is let go of toxic people. So you can forgive somebody and have that closure, but then also decide, like, I don't need this person in my life any longer, or I wouldn't like to continue the relationship with that person. And that's really powerful. You should
Mhm.
always be kind of ridding yourself of things that no longer serve you, no longer make you happy, no longer like make you feel loved or make you feel excited, or you kind of want somebody, anybody in your life, any relationship you have, to make you feel happy majority of the time.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do, I think.
Hmm.
Being able to let go of something or someone is huge for like personal growth,
Yeah.
but a lot of people struggle with that. And I think
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people like are hindered,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it kind of goes with the card too. It's like,
Mhm.
to be able to change and grow, you can't always be adding unless you're also taking away.
Yeah.
Letting go of toxic people allows room for non toxic people. You only have a certain amount of energy inside of you. You only have a certain amount of love that you can give. It's not infinite, I don't think. So if somebody's always draining your energy and you have these toxic people around you, you don't have energy to put into the positive people around you.
Mm.
And you need to be able to like fuel those relationships and like put energy into other things too.
Yeah.
So, although letting go of things is hard, I think that the mindset is like, I'm letting go of this so I can allow something better to come into my life.
So great points.
Thank you. I really have been working on this. Oh, this one you like. This one is practice gratitude.
Oh, I do like this
Yeah. So
one.
this one I think is just so important because you can't have good without bad. We've said this a lot, but also you don't really acknowledge how good things are unless you take the time to be thankful and grateful for them.
Yeah. being able to sit with gratitude is such a big thing.
Yeah.
What did we say? Oh, in the empathy episode, we said that they go like hand in hand.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
that's when you can
empathy and gratitude.
you
Yeah.
can fully feel and be with gratitude once you're able to be
Yeah.
empathetic.
Also, it's kind of like that whole like glass half full versus glass half empty mentality is like if you focus on the good rather than the bad, you welcome in and acknowledge more good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're always focusing on negatives or like the half empty bit of the glass,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to notice more negative things in life rather than if you're constantly looking for things that you're grateful for or appreciative of, you start to notice those more and more. It's like a habit, of how to act. It's like there's like that quote that's like when you focus on the good gets better
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But I also think it's like the good gets more plentiful. Like there's just more good if you're looking for it,
Yeah,
you know?
manifesting
Yeah.
it.
Ooh. So the next one that I did that I really like is Do You. And I compiled this from a bunch of different things. And a lot of the blogs said, like, live your life for yourself, not for somebody else, or like, don't follow the standard life path. And like, I really liked that, but I wanted to use the term do you instead because I feel like that looks different for everybody. Like, some people are really good at following that structured life path, like the whole like, you grow up and you go to college and then you find your mate and then you get married and then you have babies and you have a house and like the standard life path that works for
Mm-hmm.
some people and some people really like that, so I don't want to knock that, but that doesn't work for everybody. Some people never want to get married and never want to have kids and want to live in a van and travel the world and see everything they can see, and that's equally as okay and as awesome, and we need both in life. And I think that happiness, like, since we're talking about what truly makes people happy, is like you need to form a life that you want to live, not that somebody else wants you to live or not that you feel like you should live,
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
It's important to be like unapologetically yourself.
Yes, and like very authentic. Like I never in my life want to feel like I'm doing it for somebody else. Like
Yeah.
I used to when I was younger like feel like I had to go to college for like my parents or because my whole school was like a college prep school and like whatever, but that didn't like fit what I wanted to do. I applied to colleges and then I started applying to like art schools and I was like, oh, maybe that's like kind of my route that I want to go, but then I still couldn't like commit all the way. And then eventually I found like a trade school. So like
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's a path for everybody. And I'm at like a pretty good place with it. I'm like happy with that decision that I made. And so going forward, I just want to keep doing that for myself. Like I feel like there's a lot of pressure to have babies and like that's something that I've never been fully like on board with. Like
Yeah.
in at least like the stereotypical way of having a baby. I don't know. Like I really
Dogs don't count.
no, but like adoption.
oh,
Like I really like
oh,
adoption.
oh, oh, oh.
I would want to
So you
like
want kids, but you don't know.
I think yeah, I think I
Okay.
want kids, but I don't necessarily know if I want to have my own kids. Like I'm totally for adoption. I love adoption. Like so I don't know,
You never know. Yeah.
there's different paths for everybody. I also totally thought that when I was 25 I was going to be living on my own. Like I was like, "You know what? I'll move out when I'm 22." Like that was like my limit.
yeah,
And
wouldn't that be nice?
that would be wonderful. However, that's just not how my life is going. And you know what? That's all right.
oh man, I feel that. I'm a broke college
We're
student, so
manifesting the homes right now.
I'm
So,
manifesting my life right now. Yes.
yeah, it probably won't be here. I mean,
Do me. And I don't know. Yeah, it's also important the do you. I feel like it's great to focus on your goals
yeah,
too. Like not only are you manifesting your goals, but you're putting in the work
yeah,
that you want to,
yeah.
you know.
I have one that's about goals, but it's
Oh,
later on.
okay. We'll get there later.
Nurture your relationships is my next little note. So, we talked about like letting go of toxic relationships, but you equally should spend as much time focusing on your positive relationships. And something that I really like and have been taught mostly by my mom is like you are the people that you are with. So if you're hanging out with your friends or whatever and they're all really positive, you're eventually going to be positive and be happy. It's like if they're all doing good things in life, they're going to uplift you with them. So like you want to nurture those relationships. You really want to like be grateful for them, pay attention to them, put energy into them and uplift your friends too because you all want to grow together and you all want each other to do better, and you need to spend time in areas that make you happy. And like I feel like a lot of times when people are focusing on their life journeys or whatever, it's very self-focused. But having those good relationships that grow with you on this journey are really important too.
Yeah. Yesterday, I actually said out loud to someone that the people that are going to be in my life are already here. Like they're
Yeah,
showing up, basically,
yeah,
is what I was saying.
yeah. I think that that's true too. Like you
Hmm.
kind of, after you get out of high school and then definitely after you get out of college, you're like, all right, how many new people am I really going to meet that are going to be like lifelong people? And it's
Yeah.
like it's hard to form those really strong relationships because a lot of your growing is already completed, like the growing into like your personality traits and like that
Hmm.
characteristic stuff. Like yeah, some of it changes on, but like I think pretty much like you're like at least I feel like pretty realized like I know who I am right now.
Hmm.
And so you kind of either mesh with people or you don't. I
Yeah,
think it's harder to grow as people together in life once you get older because you're kind of
that's
who
true.
you
Yeah.
are. Either you
Yeah.
click or you don't. Like when you're younger, you can like meet people and then be like, oh, I want to like be friends with them, and then you kind of find things in common together, and you're growing up together, and like you change together. But I think the changes are more like adulty. I don't know. Like
Adulting.
my next change is going to be like where I'm living, or like
Hmm.
am I going to have kids? Am I going to get married? Like those are like my next changes, not like like what type of person do I want to be?
I don't know. I think that there's always room for growth and that
Yeah,
people are constantly learning. Like, I'm sure there are parts of me that might change down the line because there are things that might pique my interest now that I just know that I'm not ready for or like I haven't gotten to yet.
yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I think there's always room for like learning and growing and
Yeah,
changing.
I guess that's true too because like you always do go through like new experiences.
Hmm.
So the more that you experience, the more that you learn, and then obviously you change from the things that you go through.
Yeah.
So like yeah, change still occurs, but
But
as
like,
far
I get what
as
you mean. Like, your core personality is
yeah,
already pretty much what it's going to be.
and as
But
far as relationships go, it's like how many more new people are you going to meet that you're like, all right, we're going to put in this work together to grow together as people. Like
well, hopefully at least one.
at least, yeah, hopefully. Aw,
Rip.
you make me sad. Okay, the next one is take care of your body. So obviously I wrote this one because I love health and fitness, but as I was thinking about it later on, I was like, I want to be a grandma one day. I think being a grandma is like super dope. And I'm 25 and
I
I
feel
don't have
that.
a kid,
I feel that vibe.
So like if I have a kid by the time I'm 30 and then my kid has a kid by the time they're 30, I'll be 60
Hmm.
and that kid will be 1. And so then when that kid's like 10, I'll be 70. And if I want to be the dope 70-year-old grandma that I want to be, running around, swimming, going and playing sports with this small child, I'm going to need to be in good shape. I cannot
Hmm.
just be like that frail old woman or like an overweight old woman or like just a like low energy old woman. I need to be like at my game still, like
Yeah.
and so I think taking care of your body mentally but physically also nourishing your body with good foods like not everybody needs to be on like some super like crazy strict diet, but I think just like whole foods, non-processed foods, staying away from processed foods, processed sugars, unhealthy fats, that type of thing, I think really helps. And supplements, like if you can find like some great supplements, like I take turmeric every day. That's like an all natural thing that I take that
Mm,
helps like anti-inflammation.
okay.
Yeah, so it's good with my autoimmune disease that I have, but just other things. I don't know. Some people like have like teas that they drink every day that are like good for health. Like oolong tea is supposed to be really great for like youth and
I drink matcha every
yeah, okay. So like
day.
other things that people really like doing that are health wise. So like I think spending some time on finding a good health regimen or whatever is beneficial for
Yeah,
like
self care.
happiness. Yeah.
All different
All
kinds of
different types of self
self
care.
care.
Next one. Oh, this is the goals one. So I put, this is kind of interesting,
Okay.
develop habits rather than setting goals. So some goals I
Hmm.
agree need to be set.
Hmm.
Like where do I want to see myself in this many years? That's a goal. Set it.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
I think that when people focus on goals all the time rather than focus on creating habits for themselves, it's like this never ending treadmill walk of like, okay, I got to this goal, but it's still going. I have another one now and I have another one now. And it's like so future forward focused that daily you're not like as happy as you maybe could be. So I think habit, like this is something that I've been working on, like a habit. We just talked about getting up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So a habit that I have now that I have formed for myself is waking up earlier instead of later, just because I feel like I can get more stuff done. I wake up early. I have like a good amount. I have like between 30 minutes and an hour before I start working out normally that I'm just awake and I'm putting on moisturizer on my face. I'm just waking myself up. I'm drinking my pre workout. I'm getting ready for the day. I'm just like thinking about things. And then I go and have my workout and then I shower. And at that time, it's like 10:30, by the time I'm done with my whole thing. So I still have the rest of the day to do whatever. But I feel like I've already done good things for myself in the morning. And those habits now are just like second nature to me. And I think I'm happier because of them. And also, I think that routines and schedule kind of make people
Mm-hmm.
happier because they just feel more like at least there's a constant. It's not
Yeah.
just like all up in the air all the time.
Yeah, today was my first day back at work, and I already feel more accomplished today
Yeah.
than I have felt since March.
Well,
Well, maybe not. I've been semi-productive other days,
it's
but
also hard during a pandemic
yeah, yeah,
to feel.
well, that was my point. But
Yeah.
I feel like my routine has definitely been off, and I do feel worse on days where it's like I
Yeah.
just do absolutely nothing and like
Yeah.
I sleep
Yeah,
in.
but see
I'm
like
up super late. I'm just so off right
even
now.
that like you and I have different routines, but
Mhm.
both of us when we stick to those routines or like our habits that we like, we both are happier people.
Mhm.
So like not everybody's routine has to be the same. You don't have to wake up early to be a good happy person. However, I think that we can both say that like finding that schedule or that routine or like implementing those habits that do make us happy is beneficial in long term.
Yeah.
More so, I don't know, not more so than goals, but
Yeah, having a routine I think is super important. Like today, I did my work video like before I got ready for my day, just because you can do that when you work at home.
yeah,
But
hell yeah.
but then afterwards, I did my routine
Right.
and I felt great after. I always feel like ready for my day. I shower,
Yeah.
I do like all my face stuff, but then I pull a card and I journal about it.
That's
I
nice.
pulled my own personal card and then I pulled a card for the podcast after.
Speaking of pulling cards, the next point that I put is pursue your hobbies. So I think that hobbies are really important because it's little bits of time when you're doing a hobby that you can spend. It's obviously something that you enjoy doing, which is why it's a hobby. But it's like also part of self care, to take that little bit of time for yourself and do your hobby. And a lot of times hobbies are like not like not important, but they're just like mindless activity. Like it's not doing anything for you. Like your hobby is not
Like
work.
frivolous.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like a fun, nice
Mhm.
little moment that like people's hobbies are like building like those toy trains or like, like
Yeah,
I feel like a
crafting.
hobby for you would be like your card pulling or what's like a
Mm,
nice thing.
maybe.
People's hobbies
Depends.
are like
Yeah, I
art,
guess it's a
like
hobby.
Stephanie's hobby would be like ceramics and
Yeah.
there's different little bits of
My hobby
time.
is my spirituality.
I mean, it not like that it's not important, but it's just like an extra little bit that like you don't have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this in your life. It's not your job. It's not something that somebody's making you do. It's just something that you enjoy doing, that you spend time doing. So that's like kind of how I think of a hobby, I guess, rather than I don't know. Like I feel like when people say hobby, it is like someone that goes to the craft store and like knitting is a hobby, but it can be
Mhm.
any just small activity that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So like even working out is like a hobby, I think,
Yeah, oh
you
yeah.
know.
They're good. Yeah.
So, but hobbies are really important for happiness because it's nice to be able to do things that you don't have to do that just bring you joy just and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
very pure, it's very wholesome.
Get to
It's just
express yourself too
yeah, it's
and
great. It's a moment for yourself. You can think about whatever you want or think about nothing or just focus on the task at hand and I think it relaxes people. It brings a lot of people peace.
mhm. It can be a small thing too
Yeah.
because like I feel like people always ask me like, "Oh, like what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies? And
Yeah.
in the moment, I'm like, I don't fucking know, like I don't have this big thing that I do all the time,
Right,
really.
right.
Like, I don't make ceramics, like,
Right.
I mean, I did one time, but
Yeah, but
but it's not like I have like certain things. But then when I think about it, it's like there are little things that I like to do that are free time
yeah.
things that
Yeah,
make me me. So that's nice.
totally. And I think, yeah, it's very important to just take some time for yourself. So whether that is a hobby or whether it's literally just sitting by yourself and reading a book, like,
Maybe like go on a walk. I don't
yeah,
know.
go on a walk. Go, yeah.
Like there's little things that you like to do. I
You
don't
can
know.
just sit by yourself quietly and listen to music or like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like any little thing that's time for yourself, I think is important to happiness overall because you need moments of time that you can spend with yourself that is just purely that. Like you don't have to be focused on anything else, doing anything else, working on something. Like it just the time is spent doing what you want and that's important. Like even just taking a
Mhm.
bath, or like
Oh
an
yeah.
extra long shower, like whatever. It doesn't even have to be a hobby.
You know what I've been doing recently that I didn't used to do
Mm,
before like quarantine
mm.
is I have like a show that I watch.
That's
And it's
nice.
like it's like the thing that I do at nighttime at the
Mhm.
end of the day when I'm like all by myself,
Yeah,
And it's like I have my show that I watch.
that's really nice.
I'm not like a lot of people watch TV, but I
Yeah.
used to not watch that much TV.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
it's
why for
different.
me
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I have my show that I'm watching right now.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
All right. My next one is keep your future self in mind. So, like, we just talked about goals versus habits, whatever, but I feel like you also always need to be mindful that you have to live with yourself in 10 years, So, like, the things that you do today and the actions that you take today do affect that. So, like, it kind of goes, when I was thinking of it, I was thinking of like health at least. And like, if you just destroy your body when you're young and you're like, whatever, I'm young, I can just act crazy now and do whatever I want now. And like, it will affect you later. So,
Mhm.
although you shouldn't always be forward thinking because I feel like people also need to live in the moment, it's like a very nice balance of the two of still be aware of your future self, still be caring about your future self,
Mhm.
want the best for your future self, and also um, I feel like happiness can come from setting yourself up for success. So if you're doing something today that doesn't necessarily directly affect you today, but you know it will affect you next week or next year or in a few years, I think that that still brings you happiness.
This is a very good point. And I must admit, I don't always practice this because I know that one of my favorite things to say is, "Oh, that's future Katie's problem."
Oh, you say that all
I
the
say, I'm like,
time.
"Ah, fuck, that's future Katie's problem," and then future Katie has to deal with it, and I'm like,
If you
"Fuck."
had like a tagline, like if we were in like an animated series and you had a tagline of something that you say, that would be it.
That's future Katie's problem.
Yeah.
It should be that's future Katie's reward. I don't know what's a.
Yeah.
Well, I need to change that
Yeah.
probably.
That's better. That's a better one.
It's yeah, I don't know. I'll think of a new one.
Because, like, in the future, you still want to be happy. So don't make yourself deal with all that extra shit
Yeah.
later on down the
Like
line.
like when I have like an assignment due or
Hmm.
like cleaning something up, it's
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh, that's future Katie's problem, and then
Yeah.
I have to clean it later.
Because
Now I'm stressed because it's late, and I'm like, fuck, why
yeah,
did I do this?
this is all about happiness. And like, yes, we want to be happy in the moment, but we also want to be happy later on in our lives. So doing things that can like accomplish both, I think, is important.
Yeah.
All right. My next one is ask yourself hard questions. So I think that it's good to always be introspective and reflect on oneself. And I also think it's really important to be in touch with your feelings and always be in touch with who you want to be as a person. So I just wrote some questions, um, and they are: what do you stand for? What will you not put up with? What matters to you? What makes up your ideal day? What do you want to achieve? And what can you contribute to the world? So, those are just things that I feel like going through life, we can remind ourselves or re bring up those questions and just make sure we're on the path that we want to be on. It's like a little self assessment, like every now and again, just to be like, all right, a bunch of things have happened to me, or like, a couple years down the line, is this where I want to be? And then like ask some of these questions of like, do I still feel this way? Do I feel differently? Am I addressing that? Just to always like recheck in, I guess, with yourself.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
I think, yeah, we have to be able to ask ourselves hard questions for
Yeah.
growing. I mean,
Yeah, also I think yeah, it's just kind of like what you said earlier about like how people continue to change. You know, you want to address that change too. And so
mhm.
if you're on this
Reflection.
path
Reflection is
and
good.
then it's no longer serving you, you want to be able to change it, but I think you have to
Mhm.
be able to acknowledge it first. So these questions I think can help with that.
Those are all great journal prompts too.
Yeah, totally.
Being able to write about yourself.
Love writing about myself. So my next and final point is do things that make you feel meaningful. So when I was writing this, I wrote contribute to something bigger than yourself. Allowing yourself to feel small but useful is a really unique and awesome feeling. So I immediately thought of just like currently in life, um, issues that are going on that make me feel small are like a lot of the social justice and political change movements and ideals. And
Mhm.
um, my sister, my boyfriend, and I went to a couple of the Black Lives Matter protests and rallies. And the feeling that I got from that, besides that it's amazing and it's something that absolutely needs to be happening, and I think everyone should experience it because it's absolutely not anything what I thought it would be like. It was so much better and just different, and like what is shown on the media is not what it is. Besides that feeling, the feeling that I got was like, damn, I am so small compared to everybody else that was here. It's like you see hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and they're all for this giant like cause.
Mhm.
And to have that cause or that idea or that movement or that group that is so much bigger than yourself, but you still feel like you're contributing to it is just such a powerful and very unique feeling. I've never felt anything like that.
Yeah.
And it did make me feel happy. It's like the circumstances around the movement are not happy, but the movement itself is so positive and so happy and so good. And so I think that doing things like that in life, it doesn't have to be like full blown activism,
Mhm.
but finding things that you care about that are bigger than yourself to contribute your time or your effort or your money or anything to is important to living like a happy life, whatever your cause is, you know?
Yeah. I know the feeling that you're talking about because I've had that similar feeling. I've been in like history classes, right? And I'll be sitting there like listening to a professor or something and I will literally like start to tear up
Yeah.
learning about whatever it is and not be like maybe it's sad or whatever, but I'll be learning about something and it just moves me so much and then I think like I can't wait to like teach this also and
Yeah.
hopefully have other people have
Have
this
that
feeling
moment.
that I'm
Yeah.
feeling right now. So,
I think it's really also just to realize that you are small in like the grand scheme of the world or the universe is also a really cool and important realization. Like we focus a lot on ourselves and on our lives, and like this whole thing is about how to make your life worthwhile and happy and
mhm.
like be one that you love. But I think to realize that ultimately you're very small in the world is actually really important too. It kind of deflates that ego a
Yeah.
little bit and just kind of makes you realize there are a lot of things that are bigger than you or things that are out of your control
Mhm.
or whatever. But to put effort into something bigger than yourself is also really cool and I think really fulfilling. Like it
Mhm.
makes you feel worthy and like meaningful and like you're contributing to something great and
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, all those there are so many factors that go into like living your best life and a
absolutely.
lot of it is just like being able to balance almost. I don't want to mean like not like juggle. We've talked about
Yeah.
what balance, but like being able to balance like oh, both being humble when it's time to be humble, but also being able to praise yourself.
Yeah,
Like being able to just acknowledge all those moments in your life.
totally. I think that that's a nice spot to end it here, you
Yeah.
know. We've talked about a lot of different little tips, pointers. Hopefully you've enjoyed them and agree with them. If you don't, that's totally okay. There was a ton more on all these little blogs and news articles that I was reading. So if you are interested in it, just look into it. Like there's so many other different aspects of it. I'm not a religious person, so I didn't mention anything of that sort. However,
Mhm.
that makes a lot of people happy. So different things matter to different people in their lives. So I would just say like spend some time thinking about like all these tips are hopefully useful, but at
Mhm.
the end of the day, the point is just to spend time thinking about the life that you want to live and how you're going to get to live that.
Yeah. How are you going to be at peace with yourself and know that you've done everything that you can do and that you're living the life that you want.
Yeah, I think all of our goal is to be happy at the end of the day, you know, like nobody wants to wake up every morning and be kind of upset. Like obviously you're going to have moments in life that are sad or not happy or whatever. But one of my professors, he was like a human relations professor, and he told me this about people, like the people that you're spending your time with, you want to be happy when you're around them at least 60% of the time. And if you're
Mm.
not, you should probably get rid of that person. But I think the same goes for life. Is like if you're happy at least 60% of the time, you're probably doing all right. But if you're not, you know, maybe it's time to make some changes. Maybe it's time to think about these things and
Mm.
reassess and kind of like refocus yourself, manifest some shit, set new intentions.
We'll have to do an episode on manifesting.
Yeah, we say that. I feel like we say that word a lot. A lot of people say that word a lot, and I think it's a powerful thing. So
Yeah, that'll be good.
it
Maybe we could
works.
get someone for that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We'll see.
If
We'll see what happens.
if you're listening to this
If you're
and
listening to this and
you want
you
to be
are
our
an
guest
expert
speaker,
on manifesting, hit us up.
well, anywho, we hope that you enjoyed our 20th podcast episode.
How fun. Yeah, thanks to all those who've been tuning in with us since the beginning, and thanks to everyone who's just joining us. And
Yeah, we love all of
we're
you.
excited for the
Future
future.
of evolving moons.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're excited to see how we evolve.
LOL.
Anywho, have a great rest of your week,
All right.
day, night, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, comment, share, follow us. We are on Apple Music, we are on Spotify, um, Podbean,
YouTube.
YouTube, Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So thanks.
All right. Love ya. Bye.
Love ya.
Long boy.
This episode has big dick energy.